isn't just a squabble with the judge. The Trump administration is claiming, out loud by the way, that they're willing to defy a co-equal branch of government.
We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
This judge has no right to ask those questions. You have one unelected federal judge trying to control foreign policies, trying to control the Alien Enemies Act, which they have no business presiding over. The judge had no business, no power to do what he did. This judge had no right to do that.
Of course, the judge had every right to ask any questions he wanted. By the way, that's how the system works. This is the sound, though, we just heard of one branch of government basically giving the middle finger to another branch of government. That's what we're hearing. Trump and his administration are trying to overtake the courts. They're trying to become the arbiters of the law.
We have seen a lot of crazy posts from Donald Trump over the past couple of weeks, months, and really years. But what he put out on Truth Social last night really takes the cake for insanity. Because after a really horrible picture of Donald Trump that is in the state capitol leaked out, Donald Trump just melted down, threw a temper tantrum, and decided to share it himself because he was so upset with it. It's just an absolutely insane story that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, this photo in the Colorado State Capitol had Donald Trump very upset with Jared Puss. And so before we get into what he had to share, I want to hear from Jamie Raskin about the threats that Donald Trump has made to other important public officials.
So we can see there's a problem here, to state the obvious, and we're faced with some tough questions. I mean, what is the solution? And what is our system able to do? And again, those are tricky questions to answer because his history, as I've noted here, doesn't exactly serve as a guide. Joining me now is Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland. He's the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee. He is the perfect person to talk to about historical precedent, the moment we're in, all of the things. So let me just start with kind of where I ended there. I mean, you've said there's an attack on the Constitution. That feels very clear here. I think the question a lot of people have is, what can be done to stop it?
We got 125 cases that have been filed across the country, and 50 federal courts have already entered temporary restraining orders or preliminary injunctions against Trump. So let's start with the positive news that the courts are working, they're doing their job. That's why they're talking about impeaching all these federal judges. That's why they're attacking Judge Boasberg for insisting on answers, because you can't disobey an order of a federal court. As Chief Justice Roberts emphasized this week, the proper response to disagreement with the substance of a judicial opinion is to appeal the opinion, not to try to impeach the judge, certainly not for people to go out and visit threats upon the judge and the judge's family. And so we've got to play these cases out in court. The Trump administration has just thrown caution to the winds. I mean, the great example of this, of course, is the birthright citizenship executive order. The first sentence of the 14th Amendment says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. It is just as plain as day. And we have Obama judges, Biden judges, Reagan judges, Trump judges, all striking down what Trump did. In fact, the Reagan judge said it was the easiest case he'd ever decided in his life. You don't have to be a lawyer to know what's wrong with you. You just have to know how to read. And in case after case, they say you have just totally blown past the Constitution. So we've got to stand up for the independence of the judiciary. And we see this happening all over the world now, that when courts block an autocratic executive or someone with dictatorial ambitions, they begin to attack the judges, they attack the lawyers, they attack the law firms. That's what's happening in America right now. And so the whole country has got to stand up for the independence of the judiciary and for the rule of law.
Donald Trump has been talking nonstop about the weaponization of the DOJ, but now the conversation is, how can he weaponize weaponize the DOJ before it was lies, saying that President Biden was doing so in an effort to hold him accountable for constantly breaking the law, which of course Joe Biden wasn't weaponizing the DOJ. If he was, it would have made sense considering Donald Trump being a criminal and all. But now Donald Trump is going after his political enemies, and it doesn't matter what, for the tiniest thing sets him off. He is a man full of grievance, which is why I am currently scared for Governor Jared Poos, considering what Donald Trump just posted. Again, absolute insanity. I apologize if I start laughing halfway through this, but Trump wrote, "No one likes a bad painting or picture of themselves, but the one in Colorado in the state capitol put up by the governor along with other presidents was purposely distorted to a level that I perhaps have never seen before. The artist also did President Obama. And he looks wonderful, but the one of me is truly the worst." She must have lost her talent as she got older. In any event, I would much prefer not having a picture than having this one, but many people from Colorado have called and written to complain. In fact, they are actually angry about it. I am speaking on their behalf to the radical left Governor Jared Polis, who is extremely weak on crime in particular, with respect to Trende Aragua, which particularly took over Aurora. Don't worry, we saved it to take it down. Jared should be ashamed of himself. And then Donald Trump shared the actual photo in which he just looks a little bit younger, but certainly a little bit puffier in the face, and then went on to share this picture of himself, just his official portrait out of nowhere. How does this man have the nuclear codes? This is the guy we are trusting. This is the president who in the middle of the night is tweeting that he looks ugly in a photo. Maybe it's just because breaking news, you are ugly. That's what you look like. I would say that the artist even makes Trump look younger now. Sure, he's got a little bit of puffiness in the jowls going, but that's exactly that's what he looks like. Has he not seen a photo of himself? I feel like all he ever does is look at himself and talk about himself. I guess he just has a distorted reality, but like, are we serious? The economy is collapsing because of Donald Trump. The stock market is plummeting. People are losing their jobs by the tens of thousands in the public and private sector. Everything is going terribly. And he's focused on a portrait of himself in the Colorado state capitol. What is what is happening? What does our world come to? And sure, it's a little bit funny how dumb he looks, but this is just like serious, that this is his focus. We've talked about it a lot, but Donald Trump up here losing it now more than ever. But thankfully, there are Democrats who are actually out there fighting. And speaking of Colorado, that is where we saw AOC and Bernie just the other day calling out Donald Trump's administration for its focus not on portraits, but on making your life worse. And I want to take a little look at some of the stuff that AOC had to say in her speech right here.
For all the big talk that Republicans and the Trump administration like to flap about working people, if you actually listen carefully, every once in a while they let the mask slip about what they actually think about us. You know, just last week, President Trump's lawyer, her name is Alina Habba, she went on television, and when she actually had to be faced with explaining her job, and when she actually had to be faced with doing her job, this is what she had to say. Quote, what intellectual thought? And she was asked about me. Quote, what intellectual thought? You were in a bar. You were in a bar, AOC, and not to have a drink, but to serve one. And I want you all to understand, I don't care what this woman says about me, but understand that she isn't just talking about me here. She's talking about you. She's talking about all of us. Because the entire job of the president's lawyer is to speak for him. Trump hired her to speak for him. So imagine what it means for our country that the president's own lawyer cannot even conceive of a working class person being intelligent simply because of the job that they have. This woman could not even recognize the American dream if it was fed to her on a silver spoon. But understand that this kind of disdain for working people by the most powerful people in this country doesn't just come from not being raised right. It's a shorthand for Elon Musk and Donald Trump's entire political agenda and a certain ugly kind of politics, lying to and screwing over working people so that they can steal from our health care and Social Security and veterans care to pay for tax cuts for the wealthiest.
That is what I'm talking about. I absolutely love it. I am so glad that AOC is on this tour with Bernie as well. We saw yesterday Rana, who we are going to be talking to tomorrow at the Capitol. So stay on the lookout for that. But we have Democrats out there filling this messaging vacuum that Republicans left behind, fighting the good fight. We're going to be talking about it every single day on the show. And if you want to support that and support us making fun of how ugly Donald Trump looks, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Oh man. And until next time, I'll see you soon.